Uh, 29 of these. So regardless, it's already been a month, more or less. Because we tend to skip Wednesdays because of other games. So yeah. Oops,
Okay, monitoring is running.
Some work stuff open because I may have to do work after this. I'm not used to having so many windows still open, so I keep clicking the wrong one.
I'm prepping my notes.
Chat function is still not working.
Yeah.
My ticket remains open, so we don't know when that's going to get fixed.
And we also don't know who's online right now.
Yeah, no clue. So if you are watching, please say hello in a comment.
Pico is online on YouTube.
Hello, Pico. Thank you for joining. As
Hello,
always.
hello, hello.
We're running out of paired shirts. I think
I think it's our last.
Officially, it's like our last. Although technically, we have one last like similar themes, which is like the Star Wars shirt.
And we have the opposite.
Yeah, we can still wear the opposite.
We haven't switched to the opposite yet.
So that's one more show, and then and then like you have the Star Wars Sith shirt. I just have the Star Wars logo.
And then officially, we have the
video game shirt. Yeah, so that's something. Who else we got? Facebook is quiet. Well, many viewers. Just not saying anything.
Viewers on Facebook, we haven't officially started, but again, we can't see you're there unless you chat.
Yeah, we don't get that notification like blah 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 is also watching.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So please drop a chat so we know that you're there. We are shooting. We are starting in a few minutes. Kenny is on YouTube.
Hey, Kenny. Or Kenny had a nickname thread earlier on social, and it's like Kenny, Ken, all these other variations. What do I got?
Shouting. Now I'm curious which one was the very first one.
We have to go all the way down on Board Game Geek.
Or isn't there a...
Nope. Not that friendly.
Yeah. It's a jumps. See, 2018, 2020 again.
But it also, the release dates might be depending on English or not.
In 2016 means it's Secret Lab, Pharaoh.
The way I sorted it in the album, I put Secret Lab first.
Okay.
Secret Lab, Abandoned Cabin, Pharaoh's Tomb.
Okay. 903. We have Mai. Hey, Mai.
Thank you for always joining, Mai. We appreciate your participation.
So, yeah. I guess we won't deduce who else is watching, so we might as well just start our show. Timer starts now. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for your continued support. Always, please like our videos, share the link, and let's spend the next 30 minutes talking about...
the easier way to give it a title was Tabletop Escape Room Experiences. Although, in the way we talked about it, we wanted to cover like all sort of play once experience games. So it will include some deduction games that have that feel. So yeah.
As again, spoiler shark alert, because we might end up giving some spoilers about some of the games.
Especially some of the big campaign games, I guess. I mean, we'll try not to. It won't be intentional, but some things may slip, or you just may have a definition of what a spoiler is, and we want to respect that.
So escape rooms, many are familiar with this. Prior to them hitting board games, there were literally rooms where there would be puzzles and tricks.
They're still around. We just can't
Yeah.
get to a lot of them.
That you go there usually as a team,
I hope you have a team.
typically with total strangers. If you're lucky, with your friends, and
Yeah.
you would end up having the challenge to solve it within a time limit, or to find your way out. There have been variations, some tied into franchises. So I know The Walking Dead had their own escape room themed.
Well, it
activity.
was run by one of the escape room
Mhm.
peoples, but yeah, they got to tie up to do partner activation events,
Mhm.
and then some of them are really just like ransack the room type. There's
Mhm.
lots of things hidden. Others are gated more with like trivia questions. And I mean, there are different approaches to the actual escape rooms. But then we figured, one, this topic was inspired by Mitch, who kind of highlighted a bunch of the escape room games that we do enjoy. But also because, especially in this period of physical distancing, then it might be nice to still try to explore these types of games so that you have a fun experience at home without the need to go out.
Andre just joined us on YouTube,
Okay.
Facebook, no new messages. So let's begin by talking about the different escape room experiences we love.
Yeah, or at least the ones we played. I mean, some of them were like, yeah, but and I'm gonna bring the screen up. So I think one of the ones that we always kind of fall back on is the exit line. It's one of the first that we tried, and I think for the most part, they've been consistently interesting. And this is like my scans of the boxes in the collection. So they've released quite a number of them.
Mhm.
And you'll notice that later on they introduced a rating system to determine how difficult the puzzles are.
Mhm.
Not entirely accurate, depending on how you think, I guess, but still a lot of fun.
So escape room, exit the game
Exit the Game is the official title.
typically has a decoder wheel, which is used as the main primary device to check if you got the puzzle correctly by entering the code and generating the then corresponding number.
Yeah, you'll see like a lot of the boxes indicate the wheel, as you see.
You
So-
then compare the number to a certain card that has a collection of possible choices. And if you get the right card, the story progresses.
Yeah.
The game also uses what we call hit cards. Every puzzle has a symbol attached to it.
Yes.
And there would be 3 cards of that symbol, which tends to become a huge deck because there would be like, I never really
there's about 10 puzzles per game. And then
more.
yeah,
Right?
probably more.
Yeah.
But then yeah, and then each puzzle has 3 levels of hints, so that you can just have like the starting hint,
Yes.
then the secondary, and then the last one's the actual solution
Mhm.
to the puzzle
Now,
to give you a shot.
Exit, in many ways, is meant to be a game where you try to test the limits of your ideas and concepts.
They have a lot more out of the box thinking, I think, of all the escape rooms we've played.
Mhm.
And that also ties to the fact that they are willing to destroy their
Yes.
own game components, which feels
Sacrilegious for some.
sacrilegious, yeah, for some board game people. Like, I'm buying this game, I'm gonna destroy it. But hey, it is an escape room. It is
An
brilliant
experience.
one-time experience that you get to celebrate with the people at the table. So it's worth it.
For
I tell you.
naysayers who feel like you're wasting money, consider that you'd probably spend the same amount of money.
You spend more. You spend
Yes.
the price of an exit
Box.
game is probably the price of admission for 2 people at an escape room.
Mhm.
So you can exit technically supports up to 6 players. Because beyond that, it's chaos. I'm assuming trying
Yes.
to figure out puzzles together. But so if you think about how much it would cost you for 6 people at an in-person escape room, exit's a lot cheaper.
And just the same, it's not like you can repeat that escape room over and over again without paying again. So,
Yeah.
So we feel that the destruction and all that is part of the experience. because it's part of the okay. Wait, I'm ready to cut this. I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do, but I think I'm gonna do it.
In
Or
this digital age, we have reached that point where a lot of people take pictures of cards and other game components and then try to digitally manipulate it on their phones before, like as a test, before they do it. I have traced cards
Mhm.
uh,
We've redrawn
on
them.
paper and trying to, and then we would cut and fold the paper, the scratch paper instead of the actual cards.
But Exit has the incredible design approach, which forces you to utilize the physical nature of the cards to solve some of the
Yeah,
riddles.
I mean, like, and then when Mitch suggested this topic, my only clue for you is that no component in the box is everything that is part of this box, this from down to the box or whatever, is a potential game element.
Yeah, so far, the only thing that has not been a game element in the many, 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 many experiences we've had is the plastic wrapper.
Yeah, we have the plastic wrapper
That's
outside the box has not come into play.
Beyond that, we cannot say more.
Yeah. I think I can only add maybe the promo card if there's an advertisement inside. But
yes,
then,
yes, the advertisement.
yeah, but nothing's guaranteed because the more of these that they release, the trickier they get and the more creative they get. So, yeah, my in Facebook is saying Oz was an X game. Actually, no, and we'll get to that. Oz was an unlock game.
Which is what we can move it to now.
Yeah, I'm gonna scroll down because it's letter U. This is like my scans of our collection. It is not a complete scan list, but I've been working on it slowly.
So while
over
you're
time.
searching, Unlock is a series of cooperative inspired by escape room games as well. It utilizes various cards
There you
which
go.
you combine in order to solve puzzles. So one of the unique things about the Unlock game series is it has red cards and blue cards, which then work like a lock and key mechanism. By having the right red card with the right blue card, you generate a number, and that number then may lead you to the answer. Interestingly,
To take a few step back, sorry, because Unlock's entirely card based also. So it's a huge deck of cards.
mhm,
Nothing is destroyed in an
Mhm.
Unlock game. And what is notably different from Unlock versus Exit is that you must get the Unlock app.
mhm,
So they use an app to add a more dynamic gating mechanism rather than puzzles.
mhm.
So a lot of the puzzles, especially when they boil down to a yellow gear symbol, are code lock.
Yes.
So you must enter a code into the app. There are later on after the first
Machines.
set, they introduced machines, which are green coded cards, which
Yes.
are more interactive puzzles that are on the app. But ultimately, I mean, some of them are numbers, some of them are just manipulation of the
Mhm.
objects on the screen, things like that. And then yeah, the red and blue card combination system. So, admittedly, we tried Unlock after we tried Exit.
Mhm.
And then at first we were kind of like, okay, a little corny because we don't destroy anything.
Now, both Unlock and Exit also make use of an additional component. Typically, it's the manual. No, it's the in flavor or in theme.
They'll add additional components. Yeah.
For Exit, they go as far as having a booklet and other extra tidbits. For Unlock, it tends to be just a single sheet that might prove instrumental in the narrative or in the story and later the puzzles. What else can we say about Unlock?
I gotta warn you that Unlock changed its packaging strategy. So I
Mhm.
don't blow up the thing again. So initially, if you look at our collection, the first few unlocks were like thematically arranged so that these three are escape adventures, these are mystery adventures, and they just kept using whatever adjectives. In sets of three, they would release three adventures in each adventure set.
Mhm.
And then later on, they just sold them as a group box. So now the heroic adventures, we have them as one box, and the timeless adventures is one box. But it consists of three different puzzles. And they've gone back in time and re-released a lot of their earlier
Mhm.
games in this format. So if you are an Unlock aficionado, be careful and make sure you're not buying the same game twice.
Now, Unlock is one of the escape experiences we're in as much as it can be played solo, it is not recommended because there are some Unlock puzzles that require more than one person.
Or at least that, and plus the nature of thinking. I mean, it's nice to have people that think in different
Mhm.
ways.
No, but in terms of the actual system, remember, there was the island one wherein you had to be in two teams.
Yeah.
There was the other one wherein one person had to describe a card and the others.
Yes.
So Unlock has
They've
that.
been trying to get creative.
Unlock has that caveat, so be aware. We can't say which ones are which. That I will leave that for you to find out.
And then on the whole, I mean, from a cost-effective perspective, you would want to make. I mean, for all of these escape experiences, they
Mhm.
are best played with a group for maximum value. So I try to assemble a team of maybe at least 3 to 4 people. Although, admittedly, Toby and I are more than happy to play a lot of these games on our own. Since no components are destroyed in an unlock game, then you have the potential for either facilitating the game for your friends if you want them to experience
Or
it,
re-gifting
or just gifting it or selling it again, because it'll still work. It totally works. As long as they continue to support the app, Unlock will continue to grow. So it's a very healthy franchise, and we've stuck with it for the most part.
Yeah, McCoy just joined us.
Mitch does the taking photos of cards, and then on YouTube,
Kenny mentions he remembers the shoe spider, and that's all we're gonna say because that might spoil more.
yes,
But
that was good.
So Unlock and Exit are I guess you could say the big two when it comes to escape game
Yes.
experiences. But recently, I think we should jump to this one first
Okay.
because the two others are much more different.
Yeah, I'm jumping.
Recently, we dove into a new experience called Escape Tales. You are not able to find it. It's much earlier. These are like later stuff.
No, it's alphabetically arranged, but then I guess I have not put it in the right place.
Grab the box. Go, grab the box. It's over there.
I'm stubborn. I want to see if I scanned it.
Okay, I will just continue while you're doing that.
Sure.
Escape Tales is another board game attempt that touches on the escape room idea. It plays for 1 to 4 players, and like Unlock, it does not destroy things.
Oh my gosh, I didn't scan it. Anyway.
However, Escape Tales offers a new experience in the sense that it adds a world map, or rather a room map, a location map. The map is composed of cards, which then identify specific locations.
We got
that
this
you
second
can
hand.
investigate. So there. So you have a map-like structure there, which has the grid of letters and numbers. And if you, let's say, choose to check this place, then you look at D2. And that then has you explore the place.
Oh my gosh, just looking at the box now, they do put the tokens on the map first. We like putting it on the location.
The game uses tokens, which then tracks your movement in the locations because you need to keep track of what places you've checked. And it has what we call the Doom card mechanic.
At least in this iteration, The Awakening. I don't know if it's still called Doom in the other
Exactly. Whenever you run out of tokens to play, a card is drawn that furthers the narrative, and
it may or may not give you more tokens.
Yeah. Interestingly, it nicely ramps up the tension.
Yeah, it's so the at least for this first one, Awakening. Okay, the theming, the atmosphere it generates, quite awesome. It does not destroy components again, so it's one of those replayable experiences. And this one feels more like a choose your own adventure in the sense that there are many endings, and even the same group of people can replay it because there are definitely puzzles that you will miss out on or decide to skip.
And there are choices.
So many choices.
The game offers instances wherein the narrative branches into 2 possible choices, and you have to decide if you'll do one or the other, which is amazing for such an experience.
And it has inventory management.
Yes.
So in many ways, this feels like a point-and-click adventure.
Yes.
Because of the fact that you do have a map, you choose the different parts of the map to interact with. Some of those are duds. I mean, it looks super interesting in the card art, and then you go in, and then it's like, nothing happens.
Now, connecting it to the earlier 2 games, something that makes it different again is that, well, Exit and Unlock both have time limits. And you're fighting against time. Escape Tales does not have the time limit.
Yeah, we spent a better part of the afternoon and the evening
which
playing
is
this one.
interesting because it does have an app, well, a web browser component.
It's a website.
Yeah, which provides the music
and the puzzles.
and the hints. So it's a nice collated system that you can open in any web-enabled browser or app. But at the same time, it doesn't give you a timer.
Yeah, it has a greater emphasis on the story,
Yes.
I think. That it really wants you to guide you through this experience.
Yes.
It's hard to stop, admittedly. It's hard to So it feels like a mini campaign in itself.
Hmm.
So it took us several hours to get through the entire story, and you don't want to just jump away. So, good luck, good work, Escape Tales. Awakening is the first one they released. They have one more out, which is a little more science fiction themed.
Yeah.
And they have a new one coming out later this year. So we are looking out for this franchise.
Yeah, so this was released 2018, which surprisingly is not that far off from the others.
Yeah.
Whoa, the expansions didn't appear.
It's probably not labeled as an expansion
Of this specific game, but of the family.
It's a re-implementation on Board Game Geek.
So yeah, that's Escape Tales, which was a very surprising and I dare say happy surprise. We didn't know if we would enjoy it that much.
It was one of those things that Toby just showed up at the door one day, and I'm like, "What the heck is this?" And like, it was cheap, I got it secondhand, blah blah blah. We've been over this story.
Now, moving forward beyond just the escape room idea, we now have the games that are about deduction. There are games that have a heavy story. There are games that have a strong thematic component, and they force you to think hard because they try to leave the mechanics behind.
Yeah, and sorry, and before we fully dive into the deductive side of this equation, this is not to say that there are no other escape room games out there. These are just the ones that we have primarily played the most, and I think they're most accessible because of the size of the franchises. A lot of them are little one-shot niche, and we haven't gotten into it. So we're not saying this is the be-all, end-all list.
Yes.
But yay, we're going to talk about one of the great ones. I'm starting with Sherlock. Yay. Okay, so, and it's hard to see it, my little thing. I'm going to blow it up. Look, it's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and this is an older edition of the game that we have.
1982.
This is not necessarily the 82 edition that we have.
Yes, but then the game was released.
It was released in 1982. Sherlock Holmes, there is a shut up and sit down video that probably captures the experience better. But Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is really just about how well you can figure out the puzzle.
Or how well you can try to be Sherlock.
Okay.
Which will not happen.
So you are not Sherlock Holmes in this game. You are part of his irregulars, like with Wiggins and the like. You're not even Watson. And you are just trying to solve the case because for some reason, every time Sherlock is busy with something else. And that brings us into this experience. All you will be given is a map of London.
Yes.
Which we have the locations labeled. A phone book directory of everyone. It's literally the white pages and the yellow pages. It's not that big, but there's just so many names still for the game. And the newspaper for the day.
Yes.
And once you open the adventure book and go over the scenario, which is probably 1 to 2 pages, you will have the setup for the case. And then it's up to you.
We use tokens, pencils, and notes. Lots of notes.
Lots of notes.
We've pretty much filled up whiteboards and notebooks when we go through the cases.
Yeah, it's nice to have whiteboards to really like visualize.
So gameplay wise, the story will be given to you, certain information will be given to you, and then you will be told to go and investigate. And to do that, you use the map, which pretty much has certain.
It's labeled each location with a number, letter, code,
sections, and codes. But then you use the directory to actually look up names or locations or places to hunt it down. The map helps sometimes, but there are occasions when the map isn't as detailed as you wish it were. You might find yourself looking at a murder site and then suddenly wondering, did the people who live nearby overhear anything?
This is Toby's deductive reasoning. He's always like, I want to try talking to the neighbors. And like, I don't think we should talk to the neighbors, but we talk to the neighbors.
And sometimes
Sometimes it pans out. And it's funny because the responses are just driven by the sort of adventure storybook that comes with the case. And it's really just, depending on which number you're looking at. Let's say I'm looking at location 26. You look at the book. Is there a paragraph 26? If there is, read it. If there's none, there's nothing. And then the goal is sort of to figure out the case, be ready to answer questions at the end, when you
Oh,
face Sherlock.
and keep track of the number of locations you visit
Yes,
because that's part of the scoring.
because ultimately, how you're trying to win is you're trying to be as efficient or more efficient
Mhm.
than Sherlock Holmes was at solving the case.
Solving the case is not the only goal because you can actually solve the case completely, but due to the fact that you visited 40 locations
Yeah.
compared to Sherlock, your score is going to be abysmal.
Our philosophy, though, after the first game we played, is really just we will pursue the investigation as long as we can until we
Mhm.
are satisfied. Because the first game we were very obsessed with the number of locations we visited
Yes.
in order to beat Sherlock, and we didn't get it. We still didn't get it in the end.
In addition, there tend to be a second set of additional questions,
Like, but there's like a side case every time,
Which-
and like, did you pay attention?
which may or may not be connected to the actual case, or might even just be tidbits in the newspaper.
I hate those ones. It's brilliant, but I hate
Because
those ones.
Sherlock would be the type of person to go, oh yeah, and also today that woman, blah 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 blah.
The clincher of the Sherlock adventures is that as each case progresses, because they are situated in time, all past newspapers become relevant to your
Yes.
current case. And sometimes you will see recurring articles or stories that are developing, and then it becomes your case later on.
Or you might find yourself remembering events that happened in an earlier case and how that may or may not have affected the next case.
Because it's even the point where sometimes you're looking at the classified ads last week because maybe the guy who was trying to get hired turned out to be the killer in another case.
Or like you're going through a case and you're like, why does that name sound familiar?
Yes, we've had
And
like,
then you realize, oh, it was in the first case.
he put an ad out or he wrote a letter to the editor. It's brilliant. It's super brilliant.
Now, Mai says here that the Japanese RPG experience teaches us to talk to everyone and touch everything. Surprisingly, in Sherlock, that's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, you're just stumbling around.
Because just like in an actual mystery, everyone will either not have the time to talk to you or will have the time to talk to you, but not necessarily have information you need to hear.
The most frustrating about Sherlock, I think, is that we go to their address and then they are not there because they're not at home.
Mhm.
They're at work or something. Then you have to find the person you're trying to talk
Yes.
to, who may or may not have anything to tell you. Or we've had people we found and then we thought they're like, it's the key witness to the case, and they have nothing to say. But hey, that's a mystery for you.
There are specific locations in the back of the directory that you can always choose to visit.
Yeah, they're like
The Gazette.
they're the
police,
reliable people. It's the morgue.
Yes.
It's the police desk. It's the reporter.
And one of the lines there is, of course, Sherlock himself,
You can go to Sherlock.
which is such an annoying.
It feels like you go hat in hand, tail between your legs. I'm so sorry, Sherlock. I don't know what to do. And he will give some flippant clue, which is still confusing. But a lot of times it's actually helpful.
And I guess the last thing we could say about it before we move to the next one is there's that insane frustration / joy of after the end of the case. Sherlock explains how he did it
Yes.
and cites the locations he visited to get to his solution.
Statistically speaking, Sherlock only takes about 4 to 5 steps to solve a case.
And it's
and we'll be like, we did 15 steps.
and we'll try to retrace it because we're done with the mystery anyway. And
And
we're
it
like,
makes sense.
wait, oh my god, he noticed this.
Or a lot of times it's like it's 4 steps and we didn't do the 1 step, and how the hell did we miss that step?
Mhm.
So wow, good job, Sherlock. It truly is. There is the base game. There are several expansions.
Yes.
One of the interesting expansions, which I don't have a photo of because we played a friend's copy, is there is a Jack the Ripper
and the West End
mini campaign.
Adventure.
Yes, so it's 4 cases where you will have Sherlock pitting himself against Jack the Ripper.
The others are Vanishing from Hyde Park, the Baker Street Irregulars, and Carlton House and Queen's Park. Now, be warned, depending on the edition you get, there are certain prints that have
They're
errata.
almost always typos. These were not written in English, ladies and
yes,
gentlemen. They
and-
were translated after.
And it can be hard to double check. So I suggest if you ever do get this game and choose to play it, designate one person to be the Worst case scenario, please check if there's an errata.
Look at Board Game Geek, see
Mhm.
if there are official errata sheets. The community is very helpful
Yes.
to
But
answer
be
that question.
warned, even with the community's help, it can still be hard because it's hard sometimes to identify which version you got.
Yeah, then ultimately the cases are just hard. Okay, so maybe it's not a typo. You just haven't figured it out.
Mhm.
Okay, what do you want to do next?
And we have one last.
We actually have two. I realized I can skim forward very quickly.
Go.
If you want a more streamlined
Oh my gosh.
experience,
Wait, there's two more.
Hmm?
That and detective.
Yeah, I'm also going to
Okay,
be detective.
okay.
Okay, so there are Chronicles of Crime.
Oh my god, how could I forget?
Chronicles of Crime is, hey, you want to do an investigation, but you're not necessarily super detail oriented.
And you want to enjoy tech.
You want to enjoy tech because it requires AR and a phone.
Mhm.
Welcome to Chronicles of Crime, where you will not remember the names of the people involved. You're gonna point to their pictures and like, let's talk to 26. You know, and that's also because there's a time pressure element
Mhm.
to it.
So Chronicles of Crime is a cooperative crime investigation game from 1 to 4 players. It uses an app and a board, and it uses VR because each card has QR codes that you then scan
Yeah, you
to
can see
get-
QR codes in the faces.
to get information or sometimes visuals that you might want to look out. There is an optional glasses device thing.
It's about $850 on Gaming Live.
So-
We have not purchased the glasses.
You may or may not want to use that. I will warn you now this early that some devices are not able to capture the QR code as accurately,
like Toby's iPad.
like my iPad, which is
So-
frustrating because
so-
I bought the app.
So we use my phone. No, we didn't buy it.
I bought the app.
No, because I was able to play it on
I
my
also
phone.
bought the app. I wanted to get the other scenario.
Wasn't it? You bought scenario, but the app itself is free. But
Yeah.
there are additional scenarios which you pay for, and it's quite clever. It grows on you, and then it has a few expansions.
Different time zones.
There's Noir, and then we have Welcome to Redview. I don't have the other one.
They have the upcoming 1400s, 1900s, and 2400
Wow.
scenarios.
Okay. So even more case structures, but it's a lot more streamlined because it's another app gated game, and then but it works.
One
It
of
super
the
works.
one of the things, but the system behind it is basically you can combine things to find out if they relate.
Which
So, for
is scan
example-
one card and scan the
Yes, so you
other.
have the person, and then you have the knife. Oh, let's ask the person about the knife. So scan. Or
Yeah.
let's ask the person about the place. There are different locations to visit.
Which also have QR codes.
yes.
Everything has a QR code, and that's also why it gets to a point where I stop caring about who the people are, and they're like, I just gotta scan this person and scan this person. It was that person who did the thing with the
Mhm.
thing, and I mean, you should take notes, but then sometimes we don't have time anymore to take notes. We're just QR code scanning all the time.
Mhm.
It's a simpler experience, but it's still a lot of fun. So yeah, Chronicles of Crime, awesome stuff. The last one is definitely a more specific. Oh, sorry. Last thing about Chronicles of Crime. People can make their own scenarios.
Yes.
So because of the QR code system and the fact that the mugshots are just people, and then it includes evidence cards that are generic, like it'll be blood, a rope, and things. You can assemble your own cases. We
Yes.
haven't tried it, but it's exciting
And I
that there's
believe
a
on Board Game Geek, people have
there's a
posted
fan
their
community that builds cases for you. So that's pretty awesome. The last one is something we finally finished the main box campaign for, which is
Portal Games is Detective.
Detective, a modern crime board game. And guys, this is fun.
So the main box gives you 5 cases. There's
Which is part of one
mugshots.
campaign.
Yeah, there's mugshots of photos.
The mugshots was a bonus.
Oh, that's not part of the
Yeah.
base.
Same thing with the map that we
Okay.
the play map.
But then it basically has a token system wherein you try to manage certain tokens, when to use them in order to get additional information. There's a time element because there's an overtime element.
Overtime now with the duck.
By we're overtime in this episode.
Quack, quack, quack.
By hitting overtime, you gain stress, which then reduces your score.
Yeah, there's actual time clock and stuff.
There's different locations, which then factors to the time element, because if you need to go onto the field, that may take you more time than expected. talking to some people sometimes costs you more time because the person talks a lot or is not available till later. And
Or like processing stuff in the lab, then they'll be like, come back in 3 hours. It's like, oh my gosh.
you can talk about Antares.
Antares. Okay, the other amazing element of Detective, because they wanted you to feel like you're really doing police work, is that it has an online database component. So whereas other games kind of use apps and stuff just as gating mechanisms, Antares is a living, breathing, in-universe database
Yes.
of everything you will find. And there are only specific cases when you can go into the database, of course, and how you should key information.
You'll be prompted.
Yeah, that you can look up this name in the entire database. You get this fingerprint sample, you get this blood sample, and you'll be like CSIing and matching blood and trying to figure out stuff. It's a lot of fun.
You might have fingerprints that are unrecognized in your first case, but in the later case, suddenly, hey,
the pattern seems similar. I have a
percentage
90%
has
match.
increased.
Yeah, so it's a lot of good stuff.
And then beyond that, the game doesn't limit itself to Antares. There are times when you would be prompted to use the internet.
Yes,
to
there is a symbol that says search online.
To search real world resources, including
Google Maps,
and the like, to find information. It has that scary possibility of going down the rabbit hole, and I don't think I'm in the game anymore.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how it just makes you feel like you're really investigating and you're not sure if you're still following the lead.
Yeah. Of all the the deductive games we played, it is Detective and Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective that we have managed to play online during this pandemic.
Yes.
So we found ways around it to still play. It involves needing to scan cards as they need to, or sharing your screen so people can see Antares together. Because Antares evidence is not just text; it can be photos, videos, interviews, and the like. So you can see we already have the LA Crimes expansion, and then there is the first of their new signature series of expansions, which is Dig Deeper by Rob Davio of Pandemic Legacy fame. They have just launched. They're just launching Detective Season 1, which is another campaign style thing, which is 3 cases long.
Yes, and the upcoming...
There's another Signature Series 1.
Petty Officers.
No, but who's making it? Designer?
Mike Selinker?
Unfamiliar to me. But yeah, so they're really pushing more cases for Detective. And a lot of people make fun of the writing, and admittedly, especially we've only played the base box game. The writing, sorry, I'll turn it off first. The writing can be very tropey. Like, we like counting how many cups of coffee and donuts we've eaten in a day. We're workers or grizzled police officers and the like. And it's okay. It's just part of the theme. I'm into it. It's cool.
The system also has the little ad the dig deeper.
Yeah, which is the key thing where your tokens come into play.
And the fact that if you choose not to, you can't go back to it.
Yeah, so it has that sort of like what we said about Escape Tales, where you're not gonna be able to investigate everything fully.
Yes.
Each case is a deck of cards. You are not gonna see all those cards, and you have to live with it. and it's not like the cards aren't bad. Most likely, all of them can be potentially helpful to you, but you can only learn so much about your case.
Now, the amazing thing about the base game, the last thing to add, is that it breaks your expectations within that first box.
Yeah, if in the first box
there are twists to the system and twists to the way
even
the game will be played.
I don't want to spoil,
Yes.
but then even the cases themselves feel different in structure, and it was great. It totally surprised us. We love the experience of going through those first 5 cases.
So our last game, just before we close, is Mythos Tales. We have not played this.
We have not played it,
So
but we
we
have a
cannot-
copy.
We cannot speak much about it other than the fact that I bought this because it's pretty much like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, only set in the Lovecraftian universe.
It's Cthulhu.
There is a newspaper, there is a directory, but as shown here in the image, there are so many other things in addition to that. And frighteningly, there are more than just 5 cases in this initial box.
Yeah, there's a whole like RPG-sized book inside. It's a thick, hardbound book inside of the adventure. So That's quite exciting.
The map of Arkham still has all those little notations on what you can investigate in the directory. We noticed that there are also decks of cards and some of the people's photos of it, as well as a small tracker, which I don't know if it tracks sanity or
We
time.
don't want to go too deep in.
We will find out more, but it is an exciting new thing that we've added. And since it looks similar to the Consulting Detective, we actually think we might be able to play this online.
It has newspapers also, right?
Mhm.
That's something like so. Yeah, so Mythos Tales. That's going to be one of the things we're going to explore. Yeah. So yeah, this is a long episode. We combined two genres, but they're all about one-time experiences
Mhm.
that you can play at home. I mean, if it's just two of you playing, it's fine, but definitely you'll get more bang for your buck if you have 3 to 4 people. Other questions? What do we have?
Pico has a general, how do you call that kind of game?
They're mystery or deductive games. Because
Yeah.
they're all about they're just solving puzzles,
Mhm.
solving crimes.
Some even call it storytelling games, which is a bit weird.
That's
but
a
I
bit
think,
broad.
but I think it's because they're just trying to say that it's a lot about the story that's unfolding as you play.
Choose your own adventure. Ooh, it's
Um,
9:40. I wonder if we're going to lose signal soon.
And other than that, we are anxious to see more. We're hoping to.
I mean, and we miss playing these games with more friends in person. So definitely, we've because I keep wanting to play this game. We played through most of our unlocks, but we're gonna most
Yes.
likely make our friends play the cases when we get to see each other again. We finished the Sherlock Holmes
Consulting
Jack the Ripper
Yeah.
case. We still have not finished the first game.
Yes.
The first set of 10 cases. We've been slowly enjoying it and relishing each case and how Sherlock is annoyingly brilliant.
Mhm.
But we probably will go back to it. And then I don't know how we're gonna figure out Mythos Tales. I know we want to assemble a team. Detective, we finished the first box. We want to assemble a team again.
Mhm.
We have some standalone cases, Suburbia and this honey flavored one. And then
And K6.
that's the Suburbia.
Yeah.
K6 is Suburbia, but it's a standalone case. It's not connected to the first campaign.
Mhm.
So I mean, if we want to figure it out for a one shot, but in our experience for both Sherlock and Detective, our online games are more like 3 to 5 hours,
Mhm.
depending on how much you guys argue. In person is probably only 2 to 3, I think, per case.
So wrap up questions. First would be, of course, what would be the high rankers? Personal opinion.
Exit is still the best bang for your buck. I mean, like if it's a awesome one shot experience, I love Exit.
Mhm.
If you're not the type to destroy things, then I guess you go to Unlock
Mhm.
and then live with that.
I can even be more specific. If you're going to go Unlock, look for the Oz.
We super enjoyed the Oz one.
Alice in Wonderland. Oz. It was Oz.
Yeah. Oh,
The recent one was Alice in Wonderland.
yeah. So like
It was Oz because it had the hole with the mirror. Yes.
spoilers.
No, it was in the card.
Bring out
it's
the
the
shark.
first card you
Okay.
see.
I will admit. Okay, let me show screen again very briefly. Okay, the first maybe 6 sets of unlock cases aren't the best in the world. So the escape tales and the mystery adventures, clearly they're still trying to figure out what they can do.
No, that's for us. Maybe
I'm
for
I'm
others.
I'm just being honest. And then the secret adventures is when Oz came into play.
Yeah.
And the Tombstone Express, as difficult as that one was, it was a good experience.
My recommendations would be look for the Night of the Boogeyman.
Night of the Boogeyman,
It's,
good.
it's beautiful in how it is wrapped with the theme.
Oz, like you
And
said,
Oz.
that's about it.
Yes. The others are okay. They're not that awesome, but that's because we experience Exit.
The Sherlock wasn't that bad. It still wasn't great. I think
okay.
I like this one.
The Lupin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good too.
The Lupin Adventure in Paris was
Yes.
good. Okay.
So for Exit is hard. There are misses. There are some exits that aren't as good.
But on the whole, I think I doubt you will have an exit game where you don't enjoy some of the puzzles.
Part of the joy of Exit is at the end of the session, you get to vote which one you like the most.
Which was your favorite puzzle and which was the most difficult puzzle and who solved that puzzle. So it really it's very reinforcement in that mindset of, so how'd you feel about the game and then which one. So I mean, there are some exits we like more than others, but then to talk about why we like them would spoil what we found inside.
Yes.
So I still feel like it's a safe gamble. Try Exit.
Yes.
And then for the deductive stuff, they're all good, man. They're all. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm like super broad. Sherlock Holmes is a lot more legwork. You achieve so much with so little, and without an app added experience. Detective is a well-loved modern game, and the adventures continue. I'm very excited for the new cases. Chronicles of Crime. I thought that we were like Sherlock is it, and Detective is fine, and then but Chronicles of Crime, good stuff, and the AR component, us walking around with like I'm examining the crime scene on my phone.
Spoiler.
No, it's a key component. So that's why there's an 850 peso glasses attachment. So it's cool. It's cool. So they're all good things. It just depends if you're into this genre of game or not. Like, do you like solving mysteries? Do you like solving puzzles?
I'd say if you love Myst, then look up Escape Tales. If you love trying to deduce the crime as it unfolds, because you're watching the movie or reading the book, then it would be Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. But if you like a board game feel with that consulting detective feel, then that's where Detective comes in.
Yeah, it's more police procedural than just I figured it out.
And I like that Detective gives that. How do I try to maximize the day?
Yeah.
Do I type that report?
Am I going to go overtime today? Do I need more coffee?
Do I have that consultant work on this so it changes to that? And it had that nice mechanic which felt very board game in the joy of that.
Oh, and then early unlocks, very math. It's like a lot of numbers that you have to figure out. So it's okay. And then hit or miss for me is that the Unlock has been trying to cultivate this mascot called Dr. No Side. So there's always one of the adventures being a no side adventure, and they're all over the place. They're all over the place. Some of them are cute.
If you'll ask which one of us would be on that mascot side, no side.
CSI, my on Facebook asking CSI fans would like Detective.
Yes.
I say yes.
Yes.
Because then you have the database, and then you have to match your fingerprints and organ. And
you'll be debating with your friends. No, I think there's a parking camera there. I think we can check that out, and it's stuff like that.
It's
or like maybe they were lovers. What? Where did that come from? They're both blonde. Stuff like that.
But I think Sherlock is just still like it's the pure experience because you have no aids, and then the questions are open ended. In Detective, it's multiple choice. So you still have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right.
I guess to end, I'll just throw in one last thing because we don't have a copy. There's a game called PI.
Which
was amazing for deductive with board game feel aspect.
It's definitely like a more dynamic Cluedo without an annoying, I need to roll a dice to move around.
It uses this interesting system wherein the other player knows the answer to yours. So you're all solving a puzzle, and the best thing about it is it makes the game infinitely replayable.
Yeah.
So
PI was good.
It's hard.
We don't own a copy yet.
I wish we could have a copy. I'm so tempted to buy, but I've seen some in the triple digits, so I'm not buying it yet. But yeah,
triple digit doesn't make sense because then you're saying in the hundreds of pesos.
Dollars.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yes, it's painful. It's painful.
All right.
So that's our deductive games, one-shot games, escape room experiences.
Because we're probably going to still be in social distancing for a long time, then you may want to play this with your housemates and stuff and get them into a board game together. Dedicate a whole night for it. Enjoy your weekend. Prepare lots of coffee. Yes. You detectives. Okay. Yeah.
That's 30 minutes.
Plus.
As always, we had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us next time.
Oh my gosh, it's my turn. If you have questions for us or suggestions for future episodes, go to bit.ly, Baduy Pride Ideas. We are honestly running low on ideas. I think we're down to like 20 after we've gone through maybe 40. Well, obviously it's our almost our 30th episode. You can follow us on Twitter, Altoby No Shade, RG Suniko.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com. Old episodes, photos, and snippets of our life can be found in there.
Right. And you feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. What do you think about these escape room experiences? Which ones have you played? Which ones are you curious about? And which ones would you play with us? Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is
Baduy
Baduy Pride.